If small caps are the underperformers here, does that mean that large caps, some of those mega cap tech names, for example, should be the winner?
To some degree, I think you have to qualify that the large caps that have stability in earnings, have clean balance sheets, aren't going to need capital anytime soon. And I think, it's very easy to go right back to the old winners. And we've seen this narrowness in the market, almost like we saw really going into COVID 3 years ago, where there was just, 10 stocks kind of holding everything up as people gravitated to what they viewed as being, kind of the safest places to be. And that makes sense, I think. But the one caveat I would throw out here to listeners is that technology is a very pro-cyclical sector. And I think because of the way COVID played out with the lockdowns and then the pull forward in, digital spending, there's this sort of perception that tech is no longer a economically sensitive group. And I think that's really misplaced. So I think this group can hold up, but if we actually have that recession or step down in revenue growth, I think people are going to be surprised that this group doesn't hold up as well on earnings. And I think the better place to be would be in areas that are more defensively geared. And there are some tech companies that are more defensive, but the majority of them are more offensive.
Well, talk a little about some of those defensive sectors, because, Mike, we have seen people rotate into some of those areas, but then, of course, they rotate pretty much back out of it as soon as they feel like the coast is all clear here. What do you look at here that becomes that ballast should things actually deteriorate?
Yeah, it's a really interesting setup, Romaine, because last year defensives did really well. They did their job because growth was slowing and obviously rates were going up. So there was a real kind of flock to safety. And then at the beginning of the year, as we usually do, we saw a risk-on mentality, the January effect, and then of course the risk of recession actually went down considerably in February, and that got people to leave the defensive. So that means that those defensive sectors, things like staples, utilities, perhaps healthcare, which have been underperformers this year, could get their legs back. And that's what we think. We think as the growth concerns come back into the fore, that those are the sectors that will probably take the baton away from the growth sectors and the cyclical ones.